This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, the 10th of January, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is News to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Her Excellency President Christine Kangaloo described the late Basdio Panday as someone who could turn from sweet to bitter if provoked. Speaking during her presentation at the funeral of the late Basdio Panday yesterday, Tuesday, at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts in San Fernando, Her Excellency said, while he could be remembered as a caring and loving soul, he could just as easily deliver a tongue lashing to anyone who decided to poke the lion. She said another aspect she appreciated of the man whose life was being celebrated with his deep love for his wife and his family. Meantime, the Panday family says thank you to the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago well-wishers who gave support and words of encouragement during this solemn time. It was the sentiment of daughter of former late Prime Minister Basdio Panday, Makila Panday. Recounting the life of her father, Makila described him as humble, hardworking, kind, willing to give advice when asked, and his ability to stay focused but have a sense of humor. She said our father was fearless, honest, strong-willed, disciplined, polite, humble, kind, selfless, hardworking, and like no one I have ever known or will ever know. Still more reflections in the life of Basdio Panday, this time from his brother Subash, who said, we came from poverty, and my brother never turned his back on those in the same situation. During his contribution, Subash explained the family was poor, and this almost put a spoke in the wheel of Basdio's secular education. He said untimely it was the family's humble financial position that would factor into Panday's decision to be the voice of workers in the country. And the funeral of Basdio Panday was not without some controversy, as former Finance Minister Karen Nunez and former Senate President Timothy Hammersmith entered the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts by crossing over a railing to attend, storming the funeral. Both lamented they weren't invited and had no other choice than to take the decision they did, as they could not get in any other way. They were not, however, allowed into the auditorium. Commenting on the development, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Emery Brown described what happened as very disappointing. In a live interview with CNC3 television, Nunez Teixeira said they tried various ways to get in, adding that security guards and the police were kind to them. She said they were told them the procession was coming and they could go over the rail, adding she tried pleading with the government ministers to enter regularly but was ignored. Hammersmith questioned the office of the president about his invitation, which then directed him to the office of the prime minister, which further directed him to the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. Minister Emery Brown described their actions as unbecoming. He said to turn up as something in that manner and try to grandstand outside the state funeral in a manner is unseeming, unbecoming, and unfortunate. BPTT has cancelled its planned launch of a PAN performance space, which was being done in consultation with the National Carnival Commission, the NCC. Citing insurmountable security concerns, BPTT confirmed that it decided not to move forward with plans to carry out a proposed activity at the Queen's Park Savannah outside its offices around the Savannah. In a release, BPTT said it had been in discussions with the National Carnival Commission on a proposal for use of a small area of the Savannah opposite BPTT's head office during the carnival season. The proposal was a new initiative as part of BPTT's overall support for pan and culture. It would have included a designated public space highlighting steel pan music, including performances by steel bands, all open to the public. BPTT release said, we've noted with grave concern the murder of someone in the Queen's Park Savannah over the weekend in the vicinity of the bulls that are being erected for carnival. That is the area we were looking to collaborate with the NCC on creating the pan-related carnival space outside our offices. BPTT also noted with concern a private email between the company representative and the NCC had been leaked and has been circulating on social media. In news of the region, you were loved coming in and going out. This is how the mother of late soca artist Ricardo Drew described him. Nicola Barrett described some of the memories of her son. Speaking during his funeral service held at the Holy Family Cathedral in Antigua yesterday, she recalled the fun times they shared as a family and otherwise. She spoke about his contribution, detractors, childhood, and focus in spite of various challenges faced. Barrett says she's still coming to terms with reality and commenting on people who supported and loved her son. Meanwhile, Gemma Doyle, known in the soca arena as Skinny Fabulous from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, recalled concerns expressed by Drew on a continuous basis in interactions with him. He shared his last moments with Drew and said he had a remarkable way of picking on positive energy. Masked gunmen have broken into a live television studio in Ecuador and threatened terrified staff. Employees were forced to the floor during the broadcast by public television channel TC in the capital Guayaquil before a live feed was cut off. Police said they later freed all the staff and made 13 arrests. The station said 2 employees were injured. At least 10 people have been killed since a 60-day state of emergency began in Ecuador on Monday. And Gabriel Attal has been named France's next prime minister as Emmanuel Macron aims to revive his presidency with a new government. At 34, he's the youngest prime minister in modern French history, outranking even socialist Laurent Fabius, who was 37 when appointed by Francois Mitterrand in 1984. Mr. Attal replaces Elizabeth Borne, who resigned after 20 months in office. Throughout the time, she struggled with a lack of majority in parliament. Gabriel Attal, who is currently education minister, certainly makes an eye-catching appointment. He will now have the task of leading the French government into important European parliamentary elections in June. His rise has been rapid. 10 years ago, he was an obscure advisor in the health ministry and a card-carrying member of the Socialist Party. He will also be the first openly gay occupant of Hotel Matignon. He has a civil partnership with another Macron whiz-kid, MEP's Stéphane Sejourne. Welcoming him to the new role, President Macron wrote on social media, quote, "I know I can count on your energy and your commitment to implement the project of revitalization and regeneration that I have announced," end quote. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Leslie, guess what today is?
Say it.
It's hump day.
Woo-woo!
That's what it is. It is Hump Day Wednesday. It's a perfect day. It's the 10th day of January 2024. Good morning, neighbors. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital Fullcasting. We just heard from Paul Richards with our news brief. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Raghubarasingh. We got Ruben and Shane in the background. My name is Steve Khan. All right, quickly, let's get into our WTs, see what's happening weather and traffic-wise. Let me start down in San Fernando. Got nothing to tell you about. Rivulet Road is beginning to build just after Freeport towards Sugargonas. That main road is also beginning to build. And just from Charlieville before Monroe Road, you're going to get traffic towards Interchange. All right. Looking at traffic in the east approaching Piarco Lights, Trin City towards Huey. You've got traffic. Then it's pretty much clear until you get to the interchanges. Slow down. And just by Swim Call is where you're going to get your traffic heading into Port of Spain. Out of Maraval and Mocha, and for those taking Santa Cruz through Maraval, I got nothing to tell you about. All right? And let's look at the W's. It is 25. It's warmer than yesterday. 25 degrees at Piarco International Airport. 26 at Crown Point in Tobago. And the Met Office for today, I really don't know. Mostly sunny conditions despite brief isolated showers. That's your weather forecast for today. Maximum forecast temperature at Piarco will be 32 and 31 at Crown Point. And checking some temps across our listenership, because I keep getting both that I keep forgetting. It is, let's see, we're going to start out in Toronto. You're sitting at 4 degrees in January, 4 degrees. Miami, you're at 19. Orlando, 13. New York, 10 degrees. Atlanta, 2 degrees. London, 2 degrees. Tampa, 15. Washington, D.C., you're sitting at 8 degrees. All right, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. And then we start out with those on YouTube and on Facebook. Oliver Man Warren, good morning. It's Hump Day. Anthony Tinto, good morning to you. He wants to wish Suzette a very happy birthday. So happy birthday, Suzette, from Denise and Anthony. Mo Gaines out in Aruca. Wendy and James. DJ Ray out in Tampa. Wayne B. in Covington, Georgia. Marcia Rock in Florida. CJ in a warm New York. Carol Joseph. Garth Celia in Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you, CJ. You have a fantastic day yourself. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Anand says, good morning. Maria Celia out in Baltimore and wants to wish Ezekiel, her nephew, a happy birthday as well. Trinidad Margot, Sherwin Kerr, Rena Boodoo Jennings, Ms. Maloney, Slick Money Grip, romantic, passionate lover. Good morning to you guys as well. All right, thank you so much for hitting us up. Let's see, I got some WhatsApps here. Yeah, good morning to Akash Hussein, Dan Raj, good morning. Sankofa, good morning. Bobby, good morning to you, Bobby. Hope all is well. Thank you so much. And my good friend Patos, good morning to you. Always locked on YouTube every morning. All right. And speaking of morning, good morning to you, gentlemen.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Paul. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. Did you say a warm New York? Are you all right?
It's 10 degrees in January.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, 10 degrees.
I can't even begin to imagine New York warm.
Yeah, well, it's 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Good morning, Paul. What's shaking?
Morning, everyone. Good morning. I don't think 10 degrees is warm by any stretch of the imagination.
Let me tell you, when you live in -5 and -10,
it's still not warm.
Well, it's warm for those that live there in comparison.
That's not warm. It's maybe warmer than -5.
As pretty blood, you would say it is still cold.
I've been to New York even when it's supposed to be warm, and I have never really experienced warmth.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard about New York and the heat waves and during summertime and whatnot, but I've never experienced it. I have to be honest. I've never experienced it. I've been to New York in the middle of the year in a August, September once, and it wasn't all that warm. It wasn't all that sticky. But I've always been either between end of the year to May. The latest I've been in New York is a May month, and it was cold still. You know, so I've never really had a New York warmth or the heat that they speak about. I've never really experienced it. You know? Anyway, we're happy to be in the land of the living. I thought that funeral yesterday was beautifully done. I enjoyed watching a funeral. I've never experienced a Hindu funeral before, but I actually enjoyed watching that funeral and the rituals that were involved with that funeral. I actually enjoyed it.
It was stunningly beautiful, even from inside. Yeah. It was commendations to Minister Amory Brown and the government and the Panday family for their collaboration on that outstanding tribute to the late Prime Minister Bastard. It was a stunningly beautiful, moving, uplifting, celebratory, but solemn honor for no less befitting to Minister Panday. It was extreme. I mean, riveting. It's about 2.5 hours, just over 2.5 hours.
They pretty much took the time.
Start to finish, it was extremely beautiful. And again, condolences to the Panday family, who I think have handled themselves magnificently through this terrible loss they've suffered. I guess, you know, Uma Panday is clearly in deep grief, as one would expect. I mean, she could not stop crying, but one would expect that. Her partner of, I guess, almost 50 years.
Yeah. And they were inseparable. It's not like if they were married and you didn't used to see them together. You always saw them together.
And his daughters, in particular, Makila is the one we know the most, but I'm not diminishing the grief any of the other children are feeling.
Yeah.
Makili was the one out front because she was the one who was most politically active.
Yeah.
But I mean, she handled herself magnificently through this entire thing. I mean, magnificently,
Yeah.
and commendations to her because it's not easy. She said yesterday that she realized it's not necessarily about them do their grieving. It was larger than them, and they handled it so well. And again, she paid special tribute to Minister Amy Brown and the government for their support and contribution to make yesterday really a spectacularly beautiful. And I like you, and I've never seen a Hindu funeral. And that wasn't a bridge version we saw because the real thing was carried out at their home.
Right.
So they amended it for that audience there, but it was still so beautiful.
Yeah. I have to admit too, your pictures look better than the live footage. Yeah? You captured the colors. The colors weren't being captured really on the TV. But with your pictures, you captured the colors.
Yeah. It was stunning. It was, and this layout of the stage. I mean, I have to commend my longtime colleague Josan, and it was spectacular.
As usual.
Oh my God, that woman's voice and her different talent. The panelist, Adriana, she was outstanding. The Uma's brother, the accompaniment. It was just such a beautiful tribute. And I want to go on for a while about the tribute because I know what we're coming to, but I think it's important that we pay tribute to the what we went there for, what people went there for, what people turned up. And outside, you should see the school children and the people lining the streets.
Right.
And the flags of Mr. Panday. It was really such a beautiful occasion. And I think it brought the country together.
Yeah.
In many different ways,
I think so too. I think so. I went out. I stepped away from the TV a bit to pick up my son. And at the point in time where Michaela was speaking, coming to the end of her speech, right? And I realized she got emotional. But I didn't realize that it was her sister who read part of it. Only when I saw it later.
Yeah.
She
got really overwhelmed, and her sister just jumped in and thanked everyone.
Yeah, I saw it later, and I said, "Hey," but their voices it didn't sound like somebody different, Yeah. When I was listening, it didn't sound like it was a different person, But that
there was a lot of healing to go through now because I mean, they sacrificed their father for most of their lives to public service. And then to share the most intimate moment with him, with final moments with him, including at the show of peace, and that must be so overwhelmingly emotional, which is part of the Hindu rite, which is the cremation on the pyre.
But it broke the rituals, though,
Yeah.
Because in lighting that fire, it's the sons and so on that circle. And light the flame.
Well, usually male members of the family.
Male members of the family. But in this instance, 4 daughters.
Yeah.
So,
which to me is appropriate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is tradition without breaking sometimes? Because you can't, if there are no male members of the family in that.
Well, they are male members of the family because in those cases, sometimes brothers or uncles.
So there was a brother there. There was a brother and a brother-in-law there.
But they chose to go with the daughters, and that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Morning, Richard.
Morning, Richard.
I don't think they care if it's fine by you. They did what they had to do.
Well, I see you're joyous and lovely this morning.
Yeah. Well.
Welcome. I see you've jumped in with joy in all our celebration of the occasion yesterday, with your typical joie de vivre and your typical joy and happiness. Early morning, lack of grump.
Yeah, so good morning, guys. And good morning to our listeners, wherever you are. I said you would have been showing. I said, since we are very visual, I said, oh, good, Paul is going to be on top of it this morning. He's going to be showing the memes. He's going to be showing the takeover, the Ecuador TV station. There'll be so many things happening this morning.
You know what, Richard? Let me tell you. So we spent a lot of time celebrating what happened yesterday, and we wanted to do that deliberately because we did not want the despicable actions to overshadow that.
No, well, I blame Richard entirely for what I saw yesterday. You.
Me how? A
You
little
would
bit
have
of swimming never hurt anyone. Is that it?
you sat in that class, that law
Mhm.
class, and saw the signs and did nothing and said nothing.
Oh, please.
You sat in Power 102 tea room. You got abused. I saw you got physically abused. You understand? And you said nothing. You smiled it off. And I said, this is a grave that Richard is digging. You understand? And I'm saying, what is Richard creating? And so said it culminated yesterday because it happened to me live on radio the other day, you know.
To Richard's point, I thought about it, but I decided, you know what? I will not support the attention seeking because that is part of what it is.
No,
Attention seeking.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I told you all there was not all the trinkets in that cabinet. I told you all that already. You all didn't.
Wait, no, you can't go over that so quickly. Say it slowly and deliberately, please.
I told you all.
What is life without a little drama and people who break the rules and traditions?
True.
Which is where you all started your conversation. I have no problem with the 4 daughters doing it. They're breaking tradition.
Right.
This was another breaking of tradition.
Is that what it is? No. This is a case of a continued meltdown of someone whom we know and love. This is what it is. It's playing out before the public.
I don't think there's a meltdown. I thought it was interesting. It was funny, and it was something to lift the day that, oh, look, this happened.
You find so because you done write that into some production already. That's what you find so. You're gonna make money off it because you don't write it into some production. You done sourcing the pink or fuchsia bag already.
Boring life
and the
would
gray
be.
pantsuit. You done sourcing them thing already.
Boring life
looking to put Penelope one of them in a pinks in a gray pantsuit and a pink bag, a fuchsia bag to jump over some fence already.
How boring life would be if there weren't personalities like Karen Nunez to share her.
You know,
and
I
did. I took it in that light.
Richard, and I'm telling you something.
The color of life.
Yeah. I'm kind of agreeing with you because I saw it as pure entertainment. But pure entertainment of someone who is not well. This is my opinion, people. I have no.
Oh, come on, Wendell. You have stormed somewhere before.
No.
You've never stormed in life?
Yes. I stormed PSA to watch football. Hold on, wait. I went through a hole in the back of the wall by Flagstaff there to go PSA to watch football way back in the day.
Yeah, it just didn't have social media then.
No, they had nobody. They had nothing. They didn't even have cell phone then.
We've all stormed at some point in our lives. This is what she chooses to storm.
No, but blaming it at the end of the day on Mr. Hamilton won because you're saying how he didn't get the invitation as former chair.
Well, according to the interview that she had, she said that they did attempt to enter, and she said that they asked. Of course, there was no invite. I didn't understand how the invite and the state funeral works. I don't know.
But to get inside of SAPA, you had to have an invite.
Right. Well, I didn't in reading when the story broke. I didn't understand the whole concept of being invited to a funeral.
Well, right. you weren't here. You were not. Well, you were not in the.
I was there on Monday.
Dr. Brown told us that because of the overwhelming requests, and it's a state funeral involving the 3 highest office holders, an audience, and a limited seating arrangement at SAPA, and invitations had to be managed. So it wasn't a walk-in. You had to have an invitation, a car sticker to get into SAPA compound to park, and or a different sticker to get into the adjacent car parks, and also an invitation to get into SAPA, the auditorium, because there is limited seating. Dr. Brown said there was 700 invitations sent out. Judges made a remonstration in the newspapers day before yesterday saying they were not invited. Judges who are usually invited to see. You see any judge come?
I didn't know of all of this issue and that it was an invite-only thing.
Yes.
So according to the interview I saw with her, she was saying that they went and they couldn't, and Amy Brown was there, but he ignored them. and they
Because
asked
it
Faris,
was
they saw
not a
Faris,
walk-in event, and I'm sure
and
they
they
were
saw
well aware
Faris,
of that.
and they saw Faris
Dr. Brown.
Al-Rawawi. They saw Faris Al-Rawawi. I just going on what she said in the interview.
Yeah.
They saw Faris Al-Rawawi, and he did speak with them, but he said he couldn't do anything. She said Amory Brown basically ignored her.
Because the man was doing an interview, Richard.
Well,
Mr. Hammersmith is a former president, Senate president, and acting president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Said that some of the police or whatever there, or whoever the people were there, was said, well, what you could probably do is go by the railing and just cross over, and that's what they did. That's what she said in the interview.
Yes.
So anybody who tell you break the rules or protocol, you're doing it.
Well,
and let me tell you something. Anybody, when you pull up on the Ramsey Curtin Highway and you look down into Sapper and you see the bank of media, you know, you are aware that you want that kind of coverage.
I don't know. I'm not so intense about it.
It is attention seeking.
I'm not intense either. I'm not intense either. I said, because you remember we had a fallout the last interview we did. Because she accused me of all different manner of things, and she had her people create all kind of mischief on social media until I pulled back naturally, because this is a recorded program. We pulled back the thing and we realized what she had said, right? About Dr. Rowley, right? She didn't want to admit it, but that's all water under the bridge. But I'm telling you, Mrs. Teixeira is not coming across as somebody whose all the trinkets are in the cabinet, the lanai. They're not there.
Somebody advised you how to legally phrase that this morning, not to get you in trouble. Somebody advised you exactly what to say.
Nobody
not to get in legal trouble.
Nobody.
You can interpret all the trinkets not in the casket as in anyhow you want.
Nobody not to advise me on that. I'm telling you, I saw a meltdown of someone who is just have too, and as I posted, too much time and too much money. Two of them.
Someone who is a past president of the Senate and past acting president of the Republic, who should, and I'm sure understands protocol and procedure.
Yes.
And he must have known that jumping over a fence into a state funeral is highly inappropriate.
Yeah, why you allowed yourself to be encouraged to do that stupidness?
Nobody can encourage a big man who don't want to do it. Give me a break.
Nobody,
especially for a state funeral.
Hand behind his back and say jump over no friends. He did it of his own volition.
And then you draw attention to him doing it. You draw the media's attention to him doing it. Look, the president, former president of the Senate had to be jumped. You draw attention to the man.
Attention-seeking behavior. Let's see how Hope does now. Maybe you'll get some
should Timothy Hammersmith have been invited as a former president of the Senate? Which is
maybe Richard, let me tell you something. And maybe Mrs. Teixeira should have been invited also. But the fact is they weren't. So if everybody who feels they should have been invited did that, what would we have had?
More people going over the railings?
Exactly. Come on. Really?
I just find it should have a whole scale storming.
So she's now the official meme queen. She probably has now surpassed Wilkie as the top meme subject in the country.
Well, all of a sudden, everybody forget about Cat Williams. It had no Cat Williams yesterday. It was all Karen Nunez Teixeira. I wonder how she feels about it today.
Cat Williams came into it. Cat Williams came into it.
Maybe we should call her. Cat Williams was trending on the internet for the last week.
Yeah, well, because of all of the things he said.
Yeah. So social media brought to you by the letter K.
Well, Americans use the name Karen now in a very
and everything
in a very negative way. But I don't know. I saw it as, and I'm like, whose funeral is it better for something to happen like that than Panday?
Yeah,
because Panday is the kind of individual who might have done something like that in a situation where he was mad.
Eh.
Where he was said, you can't enter. An easy time I would say, oh, I can't enter. I will find a way. So I looked at it as in a strange ode to Basdeo Panday. Sort of surreal way. It was an ode to him. That's how I look at
we
it.
would be having a completely different discussion this morning if that really not given away, if it had toppled over.
Oh, when you're storming, things like that never happen.
Eh? I saw people put those railings up against the oval wall
one or
already.
two things in my lifetime. I have stormed one or two things in my lifetime. And you're right, it's either holding the fence, it's either something to jump, or it's just the plain bravado of my name is on that list. How dare you tell me I cannot enter? Not me doing it, eh? I was the. Were you there, Wendell? We were accompanying Gladiator.
That was his Soca Monarch?
No, we were accompanying Gladiator to a company Christmas end of year event.
Oh God, no, I wasn't there.
To which we would not invited. Gladiator went in front and he said, Richard, I don't know if you were there.
No, I wasn't there.
He said, Richard, we go in. Your name not there, but we get in. And he went and he made all of the noise by the door, but our names were there. It was a media thing. Media was invited to. And well, I was like, oh my God. You know me, I am like, and you know your name ain't there.
Yeah. But I suspect another invitation is on our way because somebody asked me for Steve's number yesterday. A particular place we always go around this time of the year. A particular invite we get around this time of the year.
Someone says she's on TV6 making her. I don't want to repeat the rest, but she's on TV6. Of course, the TV stations.
I just find,
she's going to use this for more attention seeking.
But we should call her.
Beyond the solemnity of Basdeo Panday and saying goodbye to him, and the love in saying goodbye to him that was expressed by so many across the country, it didn't make it more memorable. That's how I would.
Well, certainly nobody will forget Basdeo Panday's funeral because of Karen Nunez, T-Shirt, and Timothy Hamilton-Smith.
I beg to differ. It would have been memorable nonetheless.
The bottom line is that they were not invited, and they have a political party.
What is astounding? These people want people to vote for them.
That's what I'm getting at. And they now want people to vote for them so they could be prime minister and whatever. And this is your mindset. Thousands of people know Mr. Panday very well.
I think there are politicians that have done a little worse than that, Steve.
Well,
really.
True.
I don't know if that's a benchmark.
I'm sure that there were several people who were not invited yesterday and didn't take the position that they would because listen, I had enough. Let's just call her. Let her clear up the air. Maybe she is contrite.
I told you what she said, but else she won't clear up.
No, maybe this morning she has rethought everything and said, I really should not have done that, and I'm embarrassed by it. Maybe this morning she has a different view. And really should not have attempted that attention-seeking, attention-grabbing moment that she had yesterday. Because that's what she did. She grabbed the attention. You understand? If only briefly, she grabbed the attention. Because I have never seen memes like that yesterday. My goodness. There was one though of a police car driving out of a hospital in St. Anne's and her climbing over the wall. Anyway, happy birthday. I have a couple birthday greetings. Let me do it this morning. Let me do it right away. I have happy birthday to former minister, former MP Alicia Hospitalis. Today is her birthday. And happy birthday also to the current councillor. She was an alderman in the Chaguanas Borough, Stacey Murphy, an attorney at law. I think you know Stacey, Richard. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday.
Okay.
Yesterday, yeah. She was an alderman. She's now a councillor. She's at Chaguanas Borough. All right.
Ricardo Drew's funeral was in Antigua yesterday also.
Yes. Attended to by the Prime Minister, no less than the Prime Minister of
Yeah.
Antigua, Gaston Brown.
You know,
Yeah,
his mother, Nicola, who I and we know very, very well, gave a really emotional eulogy. I think the mothers of his children were also there.
Yeah.
A lot of artists
A lot of videos.
attended and paid tribute to him. Very young person, 38 years old,
Yeah.
passed away about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So his funeral was also yesterday in Antigua, so may he rest in peace,
Yeah.
Good morning, Karen Nunez to Shara. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and all the best for the new year. I know it's a little late now in the new year, but we haven't spoken for the new year. But all the best to the station, and all the best to your whole crew, Richard, Wendell, and of course your good self. Happy New Year to you and your listeners.
Thank you, Karen.
Paul Richards is also on.
Good morning, Mrs. Teixeira.
Good morning.
So, Karen,
Are we having a bad connection or something, guys?
No,
I don't know.
I'm just listening.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
Go ahead, Rich.
I'm hearing you well.
So, Karen,
Rich.
of course, you made national news yesterday, crossing over the railings into Basdeo Panday's funeral. Explain the decision, please.
Yes, and it wasn't only myself. It was the president, former president, his son. He seemed to have forgotten. It was not me. Not that I'm just saying that because it's unfortunate that it's just to explain what
We are
happened.
having a bad connection, guys.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up a little
Yeah.
bit. Steve, can you clear it up on that side? Just
No,
a second.
I have no problems here. I'm here very well.
Okay.
Okay, but so that I can
All right, go ahead.
continue.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I decided to go, which I knew I was going on the 10th, and I had no problems with that because one, Michaela, and then I have a WhatsApp with her, and she's in touch all the time. I sent a personal message. She responded. So I have a personal, and I want to extend my condolences to the entire family. Looking on, the pain and hurt and the love that the family has. So Michaela and I have kept in contact even after her father's death. I sent a message. Two, Mr. Panday was on the opposite side to my father. My father was president of the Royal Consulting Association. He's the one that was against WTU. Anyway, they were on different sides of the fence, but there was always that respect. So I knew Mr. Panday prior to that. Thirdly, when I was in Parliament, maybe because of the relationship he had with my father, whatever the reasons may be, I can't tell you. He never, ever, ever attacked me. And he was the opposition leader. He never, whatever it was, he just wouldn't say anything. And in fact, on one or two occasions, he would say to me, making joke, come over on this side. So I had very warm memories of both himself and his daughter, Michaela. I don't know the rest of his family, but my condolences go out to them. So it was for that reason I said, well, I still don't understand. It doesn't matter to me because all I would like to say at the end of the day is I could tell Michaela that I did go to her father's funeral. The difficulty was that the former president, Timothy Hammersmith, president of the Senate, had not been invited. Not me, had not been invited to be part of the auditorium, person to the auditorium. And he did try, just for the record. I don't know what the minister is saying about types, whatever excuse he manufactured, but you can speak to Mr. Hammersmith himself. He tried 4 places. I know he tried with the prime ministers, then he told him to go to the president, then he told him to go, I can't remember the third one, and then the fourth one was an email to which he got no response. So there were 4 attempts that I am aware of in which he did attempt to get an invitation in his capacity as a former president. So it is not true to say that he we had limited space. That's number one. Number two, I only accompanied him. I was going in a tent. he was going in the auditorium. The police were extraordinarily kind to us. I would say that to every single one of them. And so when we were turning around to go to the parking, because I'm not very familiar with Sapa, nor is he, the police said to us, well, you know, the procession is about to cross over. And if you try to go now, you won't make it right now. It's going to take a good while. And then if you go down to the bottom where the parking is, you will have difficulty. So they, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but they said to us, but park your car here. This is what they said. And they even helped us to reverse and reverse. And then we stood up there. And this is what happened. Mr. Brown, with whom I had been a member of parliament with him and a colleague, was undertaking an interview with one of the TV houses. And in my respectful opinion, that's my opinion, he studiously, I use it was studiously ignored my presence and that of the president. Faris Al-Rawi, minister, had come up. I mouthed to him, could anything be done for the president? He shrugged his shoulders and said, no. Now, I do understand that if he's under doing an interview, he won't break the interview. But he went from interview, seeing me, because I was right in front of him. Leaving that one, going to the next one. Now, what would you have done if you were Mr. Panday? What would you have done if you were Mr. Manning? What would you have done if I had been the minister there? I was signaled because I was in cabinet. Somebody come here, help out the president to get inside the auditorium. That's what I would have done. He did none of that. He totally ignored our presence, studiously, I may add. And at that point in time, we were encouraged, well, you know, if you go down there, you're not going to get parking, you know. So since you're up there, are you prepared to go over the rail? I said, well, I'll try. I didn't go over alone. The president went over. Why didn't anybody look at the president? Now, if the media suddenly
Are we
found...
speaking about Mr. Hammersmith here? When you say the president, the president, the president?
The former president. Well, you know, that's the thing about America. You know, you call Obama president still. So we don't have that, we do not have that tradition. So if I call him president, it's because he was the president of the Senate. So
okay, but we don't want to confuse our listeners. So if we could say Mr. Hammersmith.
Okay, I will correct and say a former president because we don't have that tradition. But I think everyone knows that Timothy Hammersmith is no longer the president of the Senate. But in any event, many people who were in there were former of something and held senior positions, whether in parliament or otherwise. And he did try at least 4 times to get an invitation. So it is not true to say that grandstanding and we had little space. He could say what he wants to make himself not look bad. And so he came over with me. I said, well, if they're not ignoring us and time is running, let's just, and we were encouraged, just go over, take a picture of the former president, why me alone? And at that point in time, the media suddenly didn't find him very interesting. That is Minister Brown. And from what we were doing, more interested, which was never the intention. And so when we went to the auditorium entrance, I was going in the tent. I had no problem with that. Absolutely, you know, I'm never going to anything there. Why should I want to do it now? I was doing it for Mr. Panday and his family. So we went to the young lady and said, listen, this is a former president of the Senate. She said, did he have an invitation? He said, no. Well, I mean, and then I said, but this is a former president. Would you think he should be given some sort of regard? So does he have an invitation? He said, no. So, well, then you have to go to the tent. We went to the tent. And that's how it happened. And if the media decided that Minister Brown, whatever Mr. Brown's interview was going on, was no longer of any interest, it could have been avoided. All he had to do was show me show regard. I wouldn't have done that to him. I would have said, hold on 1 minute, I'll deal with it. Not for me, but for the former president. I was going under the tent. Make no mistake about that. I had no problem with that. But I thought
I'm confused. I'm Karen. Where was the tent? Where was the tent?
It wasn't very far away, you know, but the auditorium entrance is right in front of where he was doing the interview. And
the tent was also on the compound?
Yeah, there was. No, I didn't know there were other tents, all these ladies said to us, as I recall it, I don't want to misquote her, But I think what she just said, well, you'll have to go to the tent. So we went to the tent, and the tent wasn't even, I would say it was about 3/4 full. There were many empty spaces, but of course your cameras would have picked it up. Whoever took pictures would see that there were many people. Now that's not the same day as the auditorium, but certainly in the tent there were many empty spaces. But at the time we reached, I know that at least had space for one person, and that person would have been the former president who tried 4 times and never got a response. So if Minister Brown wants to say what he wants to say, let him explain why they didn't have the courtesy to respond to him. And the whole situation could have been avoided if, in my respectful opinion, he had said, which I thought Mr. Panday, Mr. Manning, I would have done, I would have just said, hold on a minute, we'll deal with the president. And they did not.
How could you possibly put your actions and that of former President of the Senate, Timothy Hammersmith, on the backs and on the shoulders of Dr. Amy Brown this morning? How is that? How could you possibly do that?
When I explained to you that from my point of view, and of course you have your point of view, and I would respect it.
I have no point of view.
Okay, but
I asked a question.
Okay, so I have my point of view. My point of view is that having been in cabinet with him, having been a colleague with him, I don't like, mean-spiritedness. I don't know what you want to call it, but I just thought that the decent thing to have been done, from my point of view, was that between the two interviews, out of respect, not for me, I was going under the tent, I had no problem with that. Out of respect for the former president of the Senate, that he would have just given me and said, hold on, I'll deal with it. And then send somebody, not him, because he's doing interviews, say, look, could you just deal with the former president and get him in there? Because he tried 4 times. You can interview him and ask him if what I'm saying is true.
So this is all Mr. Timothy Hammersmith's fault then, because he would have tried on. Let me ask you this question: he would have tried on 4 occasions, according to you, to get invited to the funeral. Did not get that invitation, and decided at the end of the day to still go and be encouraged to jump a railing to get into supper. So this is all his fault then.
No, are you giving an opinion or are you giving?
No, I'm asking a question.
What I'm saying is that the police who were there were the ones who told us to park. So as far as I'm concerned, from my point of view, I said, well, the minister is ignoring us, and I mean, they're not.
Let's back up a bit.
Forget
the part about the minister ignoring you, because decisions would have been taken to do certain actions prior to a minister ignoring you, as you say, right? You made a decision at that point in time. You all made a decision after 4 attempts to get invitations to still go down to supper, to park on according to you, where the police told you to park, to jump railings according to you, where the police told you. All these decisions took place prior to a minister ignoring you, as you say. What would have prompted those decisions?
No. All these decisions, well, there you go now. So now you're not, this will be the statement. All these decisions took place after he absolutely did as though he could not see me, did not see me. And I thought, you could do that to me. I don't mind. I mean, I'm not really best friends with the PNM right now. But why the former president? Why not even answer? I mean, I think it's disrespectful. If someone, I don't know if he personally did it or he had someone do it on his behalf. I don't know if you would not consider it a sort of a disrespect. But, I mean, he was a former president of the Senate and the People's Partnership, of which Mr. Panday would have been a part. I would have thought at the very least, or would have been associated, that you would have said, yes, we will make arrangements. No, I'm sorry, we can't make arrangements. But I thought the least you could do is respond to him. I mean, that's how I look at it. But you are free to have that opinion. And certainly when what you're calling the decision to go over the rate, it wasn't done. It was done when they will be absolutely ignored. And I don't want to get any police officer thing or anyone who says, well, why don't you just go over the rate? I said, you think I can make it? able to try it. I said, okay, I'll go over. And I went over because at that time the procession had started and we wouldn't have been able to have made it down there in time. And that's how it happened.
How do you respond to people who say that you were seeking attention and that Timothy Hammersmith was seeking attention, and also for the purposes of the party that you all would have recently formed, that it was all an attention-grabbing exercise?
Well, I mean, people are free to say, well, you know, that people are free to say that. That's not how it happened. And unfortunately, I don't have control over the media. And it certainly did not, it certainly did not, if my explanation is accurate, you would know that it was not planned, it was not, and in fact, we were assisted in parking, we were assisted, and it was because I said, you know, this is not right to do this to the president. This is not right to do this. He tried, you didn't even have the courtesy to even give him, to acknowledge. I mean, people acknowledge you.
Why go? So why go? If you, after 4 attempts, you did not get an invitation, why would you still go there?
Could you, I want to make it very clear to you. Apparently you didn't hear me. I did not expect an invitation. I never requested an invitation. I was going under the tent. I was going under the tent out of respect for Mr. Panday and Michaela Panday. Karen Nunez. So get that very clear.
Right. So why did Mr. Hammersmith go there then?
Well, then you ask him, let him answer. He believes that he wanted to show his respect like many other people. You need to ask him. You're asking me. I want you to make it clear to your listeners. I never tried to go in the auditorium.
So who went? Didn't you go with Mr. Hammersmith, Mr. Sheriff? Did you all go in the same vehicle?
Because we drove down together because, you know, we sat down and said, you know, out of hope, you know, of course, it's not right not to show some respect for former Prime Minister, especially since the former president had an association with him. And then I had my association with Michaela, more of a more personal nature. And of course, my respect for Mr. Panday. And that's what it was. That's what people go to funerals for, to play their last respect.
So let me just get this correct, right? Let me just get this correct. At the time, you decided you were going to supper anyway, without an invitation. You were going under the tent in supper anyway. But you would have communicated with Mr. Hammersmith. You all decided to drive down. At that point in time, he would have told you, I tried on 4 occasions, I didn't get an invitation. Did you?
No. That discussion took place before we went down. So I guess he was hoping that even though they never responded, just be clear on this. When you say you did not get an invitation, it's because either you didn't give me one or I asked for one and he said no. They never even gave him the courtesy of responding. And I think he felt strongly enough that he should be there. And in his former capacity, it was only right that he should be there as other people were. So that's him. That's not me. Me was going under the tent.
So you're saying Mr. Hammersmith just didn't care at the end of the day. He going anyway.
You see now, that's an expression of an opinion. Mr. Panday, I cannot speak for Mr. Hammersmith. What I can say is he had enough regard and respect for Mr. Panday and his family that he thought he felt that he could not have the funeral of Mr. Panday and not have gone there. I think that's how he looked at it, but I cannot speak for him.
Okay.
Karen, do you or Mr. Hammersmith have any regrets for crossing that railing? Because it became, of course, a media moment and a meme moment across social media. Do you have any regrets?
Well, I do not have any regrets. I have regrets about how the minister, you asked in my opinion, and my opinion is I have regrets about how a former colleague dealt with the former president. I have regrets that he was so, in my view, disrespectful of the office of the former president. I have regrets that he did not do the right thing, and I have a regret that he allowed the situation to have evolved as it did. So had he not done that,
Dr. Brown, you blaming Mrs. Sheriff? Come on.
Mr.
No, I can't let you do that on national radio this morning. Not after Dr. Brown was publicly praised for all his efforts yesterday. Are you blaming him this morning for your predicament? No.
Mr. Stevens, you are now expressing an opinion. You asked me mine, I gave you mine, and that's my opinion.
No, but you are going on record this morning, Mrs. Teixeira, as blaming Dr. Amory Brown for a situation where he was publicly praised by no less than the Panday family yesterday, and you're blaming him. I can't let you get away with that.
By the way, I gave an interview to Newsweek, and I said the whole event was well executed. It was absolutely on point. Everything about it was absolutely on point. It was everything. So I had absolutely all but praise for how the celebration of Mr. Panday's life was dealt with by the government. Those are two separate issues, but you can say what you want, and you are free to say it, and I'm free to say what.
You see, when I sit down and say nothing, the listeners will go with the impression that we agree with you as blaming Dr. Amy Brown and the police this morning, and I can't let that happen. I'm sorry.
Well, you are free to use the word blame, which is a very strong word. I didn't say. I would just say that it's unfortunate. Had he dealt with the situation, this whole thing would not.
No, had you all stayed and not broken the law, we would not be dealing with this morning.
Okay, but
had you and Timothy Hammersmith not break the law, we would not be dealing with this morning.
The former president of the Senate.
Mr. Hammersmith and yourself.
No, please. No, please. You could please understand the former president of the Senate of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who on 4 occasions attempted and didn't respond.
Sorry.
I think you should, because you know why you should? Because no matter
I heard enough.
I think you should. I think you should.
So I mean.
Well, you can say you heard enough. I'll say that whatever you're trying to.
I tried to make sense. Mrs. Sheriff, of what I was hearing. And I'm sorry, I cannot anymore. It's not making any sense to me.
And that's what.
So
and
that's why I said I'm done.
Okay, Wanda, they say the best predictor of future behavior is past relevant behavior. So what you're saying is consistent with how you dealt with anything, no matter what you have on blinders, and you don't have to agree with me, but your sense of outrage.
This is not a PNM thing, Mrs. Teixeira. This is.
I never use that word.
If this was anyone else climbing over that railing, we'd probably be having the same discussion. This has nothing to do with PNM.
What I will tell you is, I hope this helps you, because I'm sure it's helping you.
Karen, well, I mean, time is running out in terms of, as we are to our 7 o'clock news, we bypass poll and everything to interview you. So ultimately, you would you have done anything different, or in terms of the circumstance?
No, because I at the time when all these things unfolded, it wasn't planned. It was none of those things. So it was just a say, well, why don't you just go over the barricade, over the railings? I said, okay, and that was that.
Well, you'll probably be immortalized in memes for that event.
My daughter's in England, and she said the host said to me, but I want to let you know, contrary to Mr. Stevens, I have gotten so much praise from so many quarters. Good, I'm so proud of you. You showed them. So, for every negative, there was so much positive from so many quarters. So he has his view. There are many, 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 many people who contacted me and congratulated me. So there you go. It's a point of view.
I know, but ultimately, you must recognize that for many people, and I don't know if personally you would see it in retrospect, sometime when you have relaxed on the situation, that crossing over the railings would be seen as inappropriate, even for somebody of the stature of the former president.
I will just hit you back. It was inappropriate for the minister to ignore us.
I hear you.
Well, thank you, Karen Nunez.
Thanks for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, all the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'd have learned Paul
All right,
patience.
that's Karen Nunez to Shara. Let's get into our news coming up in 20 seconds.
The journey begins Saturday, 20th January. Chutney Soca Monarchs semifinals. 30 artists battle for a place of a grand final of CSM. The 2024 Chutney Soca Monarchs semifinals. The Rig, Gulfview, La Romaine. Absolutely free to the public. Message 789-3874 or email southexevents@gmail.com.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, 10th January 2024. This is news to 7 a.m. First, the headlines. Her Excellency President Christine Kangaloo described the late Basdio Panday as someone who could turn from sweet to bitter if provoked. Meanwhile, the Panday family has thanked the government and the people and well-wishers who gave support and words of encouragement during this solemn time. And former Finance Minister Karen Nunez defends her decision to cross the barrier at Mr. Panday's funeral with former President of the Senate, Timothy Hammersmith. We have details coming up next. This is major news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. Our newscast is compiled by Avril St. Hill Bab. Good morning. In our top story this morning, Her Excellency President Christine Kangaloo described the late Basdio Panday as someone who could turn from sweet to bitter if provoked. Speaking during her contribution at the funeral of the late Basdio Panday yesterday, Tuesday, at Sapa in San Fernando, Her Excellency said, while he could be remembered as a caring and loving soul, he could just as easily deliver a tongue lashing to anyone who decided to poke the lion. She said another aspect she appreciated of the man whose life was being celebrated was his deep love for his wife and his family. Meanwhile, the Panday family thanked the government, the people, and well-wishers who gave support and words of encouragement during this solemn time. This was the sentiment of daughter of former Prime Minister Basdio Panday, Makila Panday. Recounting the life of her father, Makila described him as humble, hardworking, kind, willing to give advice when asked, and his ability to stay focused but have a sense of humor. She said, quote, our father was fearless, honest, strong-willed, disciplined, polite, humble, kind, selfless, hardworking, and like no one I have ever known or will ever know. Still more reflections on the life of Basdio Panday, this time from his brother Subash, who said, we all came from poverty, and my brother never turned his back on those who are in the same situation. During his contribution, Subash explained the family was poor, and this almost put a spoke in the wheel of Basdio's secular education. He said untimely, ultimately, it was the family's humble financial position that would factor into Panday's decision to be the voice of the workers. And the funeral was not without controversy, as former Finance Minister Karen Nunez and former Senate President Timothy Hammersmith entered the Southern Academy of the Performing Arts by crossing over a railing to attend. Both lamented they were not invited and had no other choice but to take the decision, as they could not get in any other way. Commenting on the decision, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Emery Brown described this as very disappointing. In a live interview with CNC3, Nunez said they were trying various ways to get in, added that security guards and police were kind to them. She said they told them the procession was coming and they could go over the rail, adding she tried pleading with government ministers to enter regularly, but was ignored. Hammersmith said he questioned the office of the president about his invitation, which then directed him to the office of the prime minister, which further directed him to the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Emery Brown, described their actions as unbecoming. Dr. Brown said, to turn up this morning in that manner and try to grandstand outside the state funeral in that manner was unseemly, unbecoming, and unfortunate. He said, I'm very disappointed in the circumstances. According to Dr. Brown, the state funeral of the late Basdio Panday was planned in close collaboration and consultation with the Panday family, and there was a process involved. Speaking on the Power Breakfast show a short while ago, Mrs. Nunez said she had no regrets on her actions.
And my opinion is I have regrets about how a former colleague dealt with the former president. I have regrets that he was so, in my view, disrespectful of the office of the former president. I have regrets that he did not do the right thing, and I have a regret that he allowed the situation to have evolved as it did. So
BPTT has cancelled its planned launch of a PAN performance space, which was being done in consultation with the NCC, citing insurmountable security concerns. BPTT confirmed the decision not to move forward with this and plans to carry out a proposed activity at the Savannah and as part of its support for PAN after doing a risk assessment. In a release, BPTT said it had been in discussions with the National Carnival Commission on a proposed use of a small area of the Savannah opposite BPTT's headquarters during the carnival season. The proposal was a new initiative as part of BPTT's overall support of PAN and culture. It would have included a designated public space highlighting steel pan music, including performances by steel bands, all open to the public. Having fully risk assessed the activity, we took the decision not to move forward with the activity at this time. This was communicated directly to the NCC via email. The BPTT release stated, quote, "We have noted with grave concern the murder of someone in the Queen's Park Savannah over the weekend in the vicinity of the booths being erected for Carnival. This is an area we were looking to collaborate with the NCC for creation of a pan-related Carnival space opposite our office. It's also noted with concern that a private email between the company representative and the NCC had been leaked and has been circulating on social media." In news of the region you will love, the coming in and going out. This is how a mother of the late soca artist Ricardo Drew, Nicola Barreto, described some of the memories of her son. Speaking during his funeral service held at the Holy Family Cathedral in Antigua Tuesday, she recalled the fun times she shared as a family and otherwise. She spoke about his contribution, detractors, childhood, and focus in spite of various challenges faced. Barreto said she is still coming to terms with reality and commented on the people who supported and loved her son. In international news, masked gunmen have broken into a live television studio in Ecuador and threatened terrified staff. Employees were forced on the floor during a broadcast by the public television channel TC in the city of Guayaquil before the live feed was cut off. Police said they later freed all the staff and made 13 arrests. The station said 2 employees were injured. At least 10 people have been killed since a 60-day state of emergency began in Ecuador on Monday. During the Tuesday's assault on the TV station, one gunman pointed a pump-action shotgun ahead at one of the captives, who was threatened with a revolver. A woman could be heard pleading, "Don't shoot, please don't shoot." AFP News Agency reports while a person could be heard screaming in apparent pain. "Please, they came to kill us," a TC employee told AFP in a WhatsApp message. "God, don't let this happen. The criminals are on air," end quote. One cameraman was shot in the leg. Another arm was broken in the attack, and the deputy director of the news reported to the international media. To end our 7 a.m. newscast, here are the headlines once again. Her Excellency President Christine Kangaloo described the late Masdeo Panday as someone who could turn from bitter to sweet if provoked. Meanwhile, the Panday family thanked the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago well-wishers who gave support and words of encouragement during this solemn time. And former Finance Minister Karen Nunez this year defends the decision to cross the barrier at Mr. Panday's funeral with Timothy Hammer-Smith. She said they have no regrets. And that is news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 8 a.m. at 12 noon, with headlines at 8 a.m.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you so much, Paul, for our major news. You can join Paul again. Come at 8 o'clock this morning for our news brief. All right, quickly, let's get into a weather update. It is 26 degrees at Piarco International Airport and also the same at Crown Point in Tobago. What our weather is going to be like for today, I'll tell you right now. It's going to be, as soon as it loads, here we go. Mostly sunny conditions despite brief isolated showers. Maximum forecast temperature for Piarco today, 32, 31 in Crown Point. Take a look at what's happening on the highways and the byways. Yep, it's that time. It's very heavy. Eastern Main Road, pretty much from a old road going to Tacarigua and St. Augustine, Page, St. Joseph. You're busy this morning. Ibis Gardens towards Curep, going to Kelly Village. Chin Chin Road heading to Ibis Gardens, a heavy spot this morning. Maraval, Diego Martin, going up Lady Young Road towards the lookout. You've also got traffic. O'Meara Road is a bit busy as well. Taking a look at head down south, make our way up north. Nothing really, just from heading to Marabella roundabout, usual traffic there. That's what River Road's pretty much a building, slow going through Gasperl towards Claxton Bay, and of course, after Coover towards Sugarguanas, you've got some traffic, and then from Monroe Road, pretty much before Monroe Road, towards the interchange heading to Port of Spain, you've got traffic. All right. So that's your WTs for you. We did not get a chance to do a poll, but I do have the results for you.
We could do the poll after we give the results.
Yeah.
After we give the after you do yesterday's, we could do the poll. Still, there's nothing stopping us from doing the poll.
Yeah, you're right about that. Let me just get. I just have to get something here.
You have the question for you all already.
You do.
We
Wonderful.
we said we could pull that interview that we had just now because
No, the question I'm suggesting is, do you think, given what you've heard of the interview, Mrs. Nunez Teixeira and Mr. Timothy Hammersmith were justified in jumping the fence to attend the funeral of Pastor Panday?
yeah, were they
Very
justified in
much
jumping?
justified. All right, the
Yes,
results from
yes.
yesterday. We asked you yesterday, do you have an issue with the Commissioner of Police invoking God's assistance in the fight against crime? That was our poll yesterday. I'll give you the results right after I tell you it's the biggest and best South X promotion. It presents the Chutney Soca Monarch semifinals. It's happening on Saturday, 20th January at the Rig Restaurant and Bar. The energy starts at 8 p.m. We'll bring back the vibes, the energy, the experience for your favorite artists. For further information, call the hotline. It's 789-3874. The Chutney Soca Monarch semifinals at the Rig Restaurant and Bar. And it's absolutely free to the public. Once again, do you have an issue with the Commissioner of Police invoking God's assistance in the fight against crime? 77%, 77% said no. All right.
The commissioner would certainly need God's help in dealing with that yesterday. Because I'm telling you something. I was prepared to say nothing in that interview. I'll be honest with you. I was prepared to say nothing until this insistence that it was Dr. Brown's fault or the police fault. Come on. I could not let that go unanswered. I'm sorry, guys. I could not allow that to go unanswered. Because what would have been said after all is said and done was that this woman, this Miss Teixeira, sorry, my apologies, kept saying it and nobody challenged on it. I couldn't listen to that drivel any longer. I'm sorry. So she made claims, Mrs. Teixeira that is, made claims justifying why they did what they did yesterday. So that's our poll this morning. Do you think Karen Nunez Teixeira and Timothy Hammersmith were justified in jumping the fence to attend the funeral of Pastor Panday? Yes or no? You would have listened to the interview. You would have heard the justifications for doing so. They tried on 4 occasions to get invitation.
You do mean the attempted justifications?
Well, she seemed convinced that they were justified in doing it.
No.
Mrs. Teixeira seemed convinced that they were justified in doing what they did. You understand? And said it was Dr. Brown's fault, ignoring them. I've never heard
I don't think she said it was Dr. Brown's fault. I didn't get she said that's pushing it. I think she said she's rationalizing that because Dr. Brown ignored her overtures that they continued with the action or the action was. I don't think she said it was his fault. I think that's a stretch.
So what that means.
All right. So, gentlemen, let's get into our morning poll once again. Do you think Karen Nunez Teixeira and Timothy Hammersmith were justified in jumping the fence
I think it was a whole lot of hogwash, though.
To attend the state funeral of Pastor Panday? 222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 3181021 YouTube and Facebook. All right.
Do they know if the Panday family had the final say in all the persons on the guest list? Do they know that?
I'm not even trying to figure out what Mrs. Teixeira.
All right, we have a call here, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. No.
Thank you. I got some other votes here. Anand says no. Rena Budu Jennings says no, not at all. J97, no, they were not. Wayne B says no. Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago, no way. Finbar Collins says no. Kazim Mohammed says no. Carol Guevara says hell no.
See, in the last half hour of my life, whenever God decides to call me home, I'd be able to look back and say I didn't waste those breaths in that last 20-minute interview.
Gregory Bauer
I
says
admire you for that.
absolutely no. Marcia Rock says not at all.
Because I was sure you were not going to get any contrition or any realization of the inappropriate action that was tried, that was attempted to be justified there. Because it was a poor attempt at justification for poor judgment and poor decision making.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me continue with the votes here. Wayne Joseph from Ontario, Canada says no. Rena Boudou, where she go? Okay. CJ New York says no. Yvette says no. Sunny San Fernando says certainly not. Debbie says, what did Debbie say here? Debbie say, hell no. Michael out in across the pond in that island called England says no. Eve, good morning to you. Eve from Sugarguanas saying no. Trini B, absolutely no. 222-8255, toll free, North Americans, 866-525-1099.
You know what's also ironic?
Hang on. Do you think Karen Nunez Teixeira and Timothy Hamill Smith were justified in jumping the fence to attend the state funeral of Pastor Panday?
There were absolutely no restrictions at the Shore of Peace cremation site.
None. Any and everybody could have gone there.
No restrictions.
Mm.
If you so wanted to pay respect to the Panday family, you could have gone there and walked straight up to Uma, Mrs. Panday's widow, the daughters, or the family, and paid your respects, and Subhash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people took the opportunity to go there.
To do that.
Yeah, and do that. Yeah.
I saw that.
Give me a break.
All right. Mrs. R says no on YouTube. Dan Raj says no.
But then they just said they didn't know that.
Right. Okay.
That's lawless behavior yesterday.
All right, Sebastian, Victor. I don't know what to tell you about that, but okay, Sebastian. Yeah, so let's get some calls. Do you think Karen Nunez Teixeira and Timothy Hamill Smith were justified in jumping the fence to attend the state funeral of Mr. Basil?
The police tell them they cannot go across the fence.
Yeah, and you're insisting this morning you don't want to get the police in trouble.
So the police could tell you to do something inappropriate and you do it?
But if I was the commissioner, I was asking for a report on all the police who were on duty down in that area there yesterday.
Wendell, I have no evidence that the police tell anybody to do anything like that.
But I'll go and find out. I was going to launch an investigation.
And yeah, an officer will say, yes, I tell them to go over the fence.
Policeman in uniform watch two grown people and say, oh, let's go ahead and park there and jump the fence.
Yeah.
Is it that important?
I know. Sexy San Fernando says definitely not. Mrs. R says no. Tigre says no.
And these people form a political party.
Mega Mouse says no. Slick Money Grip says no.
I lose count in this.
And the public decides.
Yeah, but the only problem, mind you, as I said, it was all entertainment to me, until you started blaming other people for your actions. You understand? You can't blame other people for your indiscriminate actions. Come on. Accept it. Accept your wherever. Stand by it if you want. But don't blame other people for doing what you do. Come on. You understand? You either accept it, or as Richard tried belatedly in the end there to get her to reverse the decision. In other words, did you regret doing it? No, she ain't regret. So fine. But don't blame, don't say because Dr. Brown was ignoring you, or that the police tell you just park there and jump the fence. Don't do that. Dr. Brown don't deserve it and the police don't deserve it. Don't do that. You take credit for all what you do and leave it right there. Don't blame other people. And you're coming to do so on national radio because I'm sure you're making the wrongs now in all the media houses saying the same thing.
Sebastian,
the same thing we're going to say.
Sebastian says no. Edwin Marshall. They
I
stormed
think
the
you used the right word earlier, Wendell. It was such an apropos word. It was a lot of drivel.
Drivel. That's exactly
It
what
was
it is.
drivel.
Mhm.
All right. Do you think Karen Nunez, and Timothy
Long
Hamel-Smith
eagle is coming.
were
I don't know where
justified
it's
in
coming.
jumping the fence to attend the state funeral of Mr. Basdeo?
If I didn't get an invitation, I was going to keep my tail home.
Watching it on TV like me now?
Or go Skinner.
Or go to the Skinner Park or go to the Shores of Peace Commission site to pay your respects personally if you so desire.
And
Well,
lucky for
I
me.
am kind of glad that you did because I think I will have use for that meme at some point. So at least it was created.
Which one?
Out of the universe.
They done pass law
You mean
school
during
already,
this
you know?
carnival season?
I told him he's in favor of it in some ways because he's got material for plays. I told him that very early this morning.
Yeah.
He has no, because he's gotten wonderful
Oh God!
creative input for future productions. I could see
Richard.
somebody dressing up in a pantsuit with
A
a
great
future pinkish bag
Well,
and going over a fence.
It's a wonderful costume. Huh? It's a good
Yes.
costume.
Richard, I could just see instead of Brian and what's your name going on Esmeralda grave to do what they do, they climbing a fence to go. Yeah, that addition to American dance, you know. Or they could be climbing a fence. You and Penny.
The coincidence in this is that her name is actually Karen. Roger T says no. Edwin Marshall says no. Sebastian says no. Jaron says no. Richard and Ricardo wheels were turning us before the second leg crossed the fence already.
Listen, all I watching and I saying, Lord, fence don't fall. Fence don't fall. Because I don't think Mrs. Fisher would have deserved.
I was hoping she didn't hurt herself or Mr. Hamel-Smith.
Yeah.
Well, he climbed over easier. She was a little clumsy with it, but he climbed over real easy. I was amazed.
Like your custom storming out.
It looked so.
He's like with Richard.
It's not a big fence, so yeah.
Yeah, but it's a drop down.
Exactly.
But it's kind of laddery, so you can climb down.
Well, now the Ministry of Culture and he asked the ground to raise the fence.
No, that wasn't temporary railings, that? Or that's a permanent thing?
Now they're going to put spikes on the fence.
No, I am guaranteeing you that in Calypso semifinals, you're going to hear part of Calypso with that in it.
Mm-hmm.
Calypso alone. But
Jump, defense, in Sapa.
Sherwin Winchester is now rewriting the Calypso. Open the gate.
Maria
He's
Bola.
writing to say climb the gate. So instead of open the gate, it's climb the gate.
We've been consumed with the Karen, with the one. Let me see, with the Panday funeral and the subsequent Nunez to Shera, Timothy Hamel-Smith issue. But something really unfortunate also happened yesterday. That an international oil company, energy company, cancelled a planned
That's big news.
collaboration with NCC over fear of crime.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
NCC or NGC?
NCC. BPTT were planning a pan-performance space outside their headquarters in Port of Spain with the NCC.
Yeah.
All right, let's have this call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
My response is no, it's not appropriate, but I think the jumping the fence is being overplayed. The only reason why they use that access is because of where they were parked. But if they had gotten a park elsewhere, they could have still entered and be accommodated under the tent.
Actually, no, sir. No, you couldn't get into the compound if you didn't have an invitation or a parking sticker.
Couldn't get into the compound?
The Sapa compound. You couldn't enter the Sapa compound unless you had an invitation, and inside the invitation envelope, there was a parking sticker.
Okay. Okay.
So the presumption that we parked there because we wanted to get under the tent, to me, was also questionable, because if you didn't have an invitation, I don't think you could get onto the tent on the compound of Sapper.
Yeah.
And Paul would know because he was there. He was invited.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
All right.
That is also that big question mark for me.
Yeah.
Because if you had a sticker, you could have gotten into the compound, but not into the auditorium and under the tent.
So you had a sticker to enter the compound and a sticker for the auditorium.
Well, you had the actual invitation for the auditorium and the sticker to enter the compound.
Right.
And some people also had stickers to enter an adjacent car park, and also the invitations to enter the auditorium. So there were different arrangements. So if you had either of the two,
the logistics for outside of Sapper when it comes to parking was well organized.
So the question about I was going under the tent in the compound is also questionable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you couldn't just walk onto Sapper's compound, by my understanding.
And you know what a lot of people don't realize with these official functions? That it cater for latecomers. You have to have an arrival time, because you cannot be disturbing the procession at the end of the day if you want to be late.
Well, there were some latecomers, so I won't mention.
No, so that's what I'm saying. It
But the
doesn't.
latecomers would have had an invitation.
Yeah.
And a sticker.
But
Good morning, caller.
Morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, big guy.
Hi. Yeah, there's no justification in case of this earth for what she and that gentleman did yesterday. There's none. Unless somebody is running around with a gun or something to kill you, well, then maybe I'll accept it. But it does bring up to a point of a culture that exists in some people in Trinidad. I know somebody, so I could get in. That it brings up that a defect in your culture. And well, it happens in Panorama. I know somebody that asked I could get in. So it does bring up that point, but there's no justification.
Well, that is not a Trinidad culture. That's a human culture.
Yeah, that's all over the
world. No. That doesn't happen in America. Please don't.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
There's no way I can go up here and say, I know somebody get in. Unless it's a
Well, of course there are clubs that
are you suggesting that Brooklyn is not part of America?
That's a human thing.
Unless it is a Trinidad event. So it becomes a
that is not true.
Culture again.
No, it's a human thing. It's a human thing.
No, it's not a human thing. It is not. It is not.
It is.
I would not. I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that.
America,
you don't even think of doing that up here. You don't even think of doing that up here unless it's a Trinidad event. Nobody even thinks about that because you're not getting in. You can't go back to
Trinidad. The people who stormed the Capitol building went in an orderly fashion.
No, come. That's something different from the situation. What is going on?
I'm being sarcastic, sir.
You can't go to and say, I know somebody I can get in. That's not a human thing. That's Trinidad thing, please.
That's a human thing. It's not
Noted.
That's a human thing. All right. Sorry, that's your point. I have my point.
Noted.
All right, big guy. Thank you.
It's so unique.
Noted.
I just have to stay out of certain arguments, right? Because people just start to label me a certain way, right? So I just I stay out of that one of that silly, stupid, nonsensical argument.
Helen Prescott, this is absolutely true. This is going to be a Juve presentation.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, gentlemen, I do have online the president of the Storming Effect Association, Zena. Morning. Morning, President.
Good morning, gentlemen. I don't use storm all your place. Is that I was storm? She was the both of them. The behavior was despicable. And I didn't hear the poll, so I just got up. I didn't hear the poll.
Since when you miss a poll?
It as a no for the poll, so I'll put it down as a no.
You just miss poll?
What?
We will take your response as a no to the poll.
I never hear you miss a poll yet.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Poll was simply, are you voting for PNM in 2025? So we'll take the...
A liar.
Yeah, we done put you down for no for that.
All right.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
Dr. Paul raised an important issue, about you couldn't just come onto the compound just so.
No.
what he's saying?
Because if that were the case, they would have drove into the compound, parked the car, and just walked to the tent.
Yeah, because I originally thought you could have come on the compound, but
No,
you
you
needed
could
an
not.
invitation to go into the auditorium.
Not.
Nah, they wouldn't let any and everybody come.
When you have the president, the prime minister, and the chief justice at an event, there is strict security. People don't just drive on the compound.
Okay, so what you're basically saying, Dr. Paul, is that she officially stormed in.
I got to say so. The whole country see that.
Yeah, the entire country saw that.
And you all are right, you know, because if she wanted to even get a glimpse of his face, the show of peace, she could have been there where hundreds of other persons attended.
Went and waited.
Yeah, she could have really gone if she wanted to get a glimpse of his face and so on. Because hundreds of Trinidadians watch it on TV, you know.
From I think it's last week Thursday, Mr. Panday's body lay in honor at the Red House, and then Friday, and then Monday at supper, where the Panday family were in attendance. No restrictions. Anybody could go.
Well, I could only say that it's
Give me a break.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for somebody of her status.
Give me a break.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And
Good morning, caller.
Are we finished with the poll? Are we taking calls?
Yeah,
or are we still
both.
doing the poll?
Both.
You're
We're
trying
doing
to get
both.
some discipline
We're
inside
doing
the show
both.
this morning,
We're
please.
doing both. We're doing
No,
both.
we can't do both.
We're doing
So either
both.
we finish the poll and
We're
we
doing
take a
both.
call, or
Richard,
we
I
take a
we
call
are
and
doing
the
this for the
poll.
next couple of minutes. We have a few calls coming through, so let us grab our calls from our listeners. Good morning.
Fight on me, girl.
Good
Fight,
morning.
fight.
I would like to picture that woman have on a dress and doing that movement, but
please
we
no.
would have been.
Oh God, you know you do that
Please no.
already.
Oh God.
All right, Miss Sampson.
You
Good
know how to
morning.
tuck up- But you know, Miss Sampson, how to tuck up your dress good and proper when you're ready to storm. Why you pretending? You know
Good
how
morning.
to tuck it in.
Hello, good morning,
Morning.
Steve, Adele, Richard.
Morning.
Good morning, sir. And Paul.
My input, and Paul. Good morning. My input on that is, I was on that location yesterday. However, it was really strictly by invitation only. All right. So that's what took place yesterday with Karen. I think that was uncalled for. If you didn't get an invitation, why you just not stay home and look it on television or go by cremation site and just attend the cremation like everybody else? I think that was a poor example of a person who was in government, and it was not good. It was not good. It wasn't good at all. It was a poor showing of a person of that caliber, and the gentleman. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
You
you,
know
Paul.
what I find amazing? Every time these politicians who are opposed to the PNM, let me be outspoken here. These politicians who are opposed to the PNM, somehow or the other, they end up being exposed in some kind of craziness. I don't know what they must be trying to do. They just try to go overboard, but they are all exposed. Name Philip, Watson, all of them. Kamala Prasad, Bissessa, now Karen Tishera and Dr. and
Oh, here we go.
all of them. I don't know what it is.
You said PNM have a clique
It looks so.
that has make things happen.
It looks
That's
so.
what they say.
It looked like the
Steve.
power of the PNM does make
Steve.
people jump out themselves.
You didn't play the intro.
I don't know.
You should have played the intro. Why you didn't play
I
the
don't know
intro?
if it come from that place in Tobago or where or down south.
Steve,
Got paid.
this is a paid political announcement.
You see, Steve, back in the day, and the day when we were allowed music, would have put on
Yeah, Lord, plenty. And
Patrick.
then put you in, open the gate. Raise your hands and let go.
I miss the
Are we
music.
finished with the poll? I just need to know.
Yeah, let's finish. It's
But I
31.
like
All
order.
31 say no. Nobody said yes.
All
All
right.
31 said no.
So we'll give you the results on our poll, which we asked, do you think Karen Nunez, Teixeira, and Timothy Amelsmith were justified in jumping the fence to attend the funeral of Mr. Basdew Panday? And the results
The journey begins Saturday, 20th January. Chutney Soca Monarchs semifinals. 30 artists battle for a place of the grand final of CSM. The 2024 Chutney Soca Monarchs semifinals. The Rig, Gulfview, La Romaine. Absolutely free to the public. Message 789-3874 or email southexevents@gmail.com.
All right, that's next week, Saturday. The results, gentlemen.
All 31 of our pollsters this morning said no. Our question was, do you think Karen Nunez Teixeira and Timothy Hamel-Smith would justify in jumping the fence to attend the funeral of Basil Panday? All our pollsters this morning said no. But I tell you, you see that comment by Roger T, whoever Roger T is, that's a very, very poignant, serious point he is making there. This is an event. This is an event being attended by the president, the prime minister, and the chief justice. And we have people claiming that the police tell them park there and jump that fence. You understand? That is a clear breach of security.
Absolutely right.
Clear breach. Clear breach. They claim that, because I don't know, well, these days with police, anything possible. But they are claiming that police tell them to park there. And I think I saw a vehicle in the thing. I don't know if that's their vehicle. A snazzy one. A white vehicle in the photo. I don't know if you all noticed it. I think it was a Porsche Cayenne or something.
I think that was Mr. Timothy Smith's vehicle.
It is. So they parked right there and jumped the fence.
They said they were told to park there.
Park there. Yeah,
that was a road that was blocked off. No traffic allowed on that part of the road for obvious reasons, because you can't have traffic where dignitaries and the three highest officers in the country walking in from the car park or from their cars pulled up in front because of security issue.
Yeah.
No, but you feel you could park there, according to them, police tell you park there to jump a fence to enter a state funeral. Come on, really? There's no justification. Don't try to justify it. Apologize to the Panday family. That's what you should do.
A man was helping them. He more looked like he was going to fall down to her.
I think they should apologize to the Panday family.
I think so too. They should apologize to the country. The Panday family definitely, and the country, for making two.
Well, we should do a side
of
poll.
Themselves.
Should they apologize?
Well, we can pull that
and the attempt at justification by saying, well,
tomorrow.
Mr. Hamel-Smith is a past president of the Senate is also unfortunate, because that doesn't entitle him to an invitation.
And then cleverly describing him all the time as president, until I said, what is she saying?
I went with him because he's the past president and he tried 4 times. It is really drivel.
God.
Drivel.
Yeah.
So you leave Port of Spain or wherever, and you drive down there without an invitation, in an attempt to coerce or encourage a government official to let you inside in a blind. That is governance.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Because you feel you're entitled to an invitation. No one is entitled to an invitation.
Even if Mrs. Teixeira decided, I go in and do this, Mr. Hamel-Smith, who we all know as well, I mean, as far as I know, he's a level-headed individual. Why would you be encouraged to do that?
He is after yesterday.
Well, why would you be encouraged to do that up until yesterday?
But I don't know that you're saying she encouraged him. I'm not saying that.
So he encouraged her? He said, Karen, let me do this?
They are both adults. But he forced them to do that. They both decided on their own to do that.
We going down there. We going in that funeral. Regardless, we climb in wherever, we jump into.
You are entitled because you are past president of the Senate, so you're entitled to get in. Really? Yeah. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Oh God, this place is too sweet. Trinidad
and Tobago. Entitled to an invitation. You made overtures. You didn't get through. Do like everybody else. All the judges who said they weren't invited last week, they would have had incursions with Mr. Panday too.
You know what I come like? I tried to reach out to her, but I didn't get onto her. That's when I come back. You know them in 5 minutes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mrs. Teixeira said she had a WhatsApp conversation with Makeda Panday. Was that
She
correct?
in a group chat with her, she said.
And Makeda Panday didn't make sure that you get her invitation? If you're so close?
She said her father and somebody father.
We're trying all how to go wrong extremely inappropriate behavior and poor judgment. That's what it comes down to.
Oh gosh, no. Trinidad and Tobago is
and Tapish Sukram, they should have not invited me, and that's fine. If they didn't invite me, I would have just stayed home.
Why you even
I didn't
know you gotta come to work.
I'd have just not go.
Why are you even reading that poll?
Because these people and this.
You didn't see one earlier on. You didn't see one earlier on make a comment about me. I don't read. I skip through them things.
Nobody has an entitlement to be there.
There's a set of fake people, you know.
It's just so stupid. No, it's stupid.
I'm sorry. Even if let's put it this way. If this was anybody else, trust me, Wendell Stephen would have been saying the same thing. It had nothing to do with Karen Nunez, Teixeira, or Timothy Hamel-Smith or anybody. And I certainly don't need to come to the defense of Dr. Amory Brown. You understand? But I can't sit here.
Well, Dr. Brown said he will chat with us tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I did tell him I really wasn't going to give this any more airplay.
I hope not. I hope not, really. I hope not. It's done.
Yeah, he don't need to defend that. I
think we need to be more concerned about what's happening with Carnival and that cancellation.
That BPTT thing, that is so huge.
And how profound that is.
Additionally, Paul, I understand that another huge sponsor pulled out as well. I won't call your name.
But Carnival is the main sponsor of Carnival isn't Caribbean Airlines or BPTT getting that.
BPTT is not sponsoring Carnival when they were in collaboration with the NCC to hold a pan performance space opposite their headquarters around Savannah, and they cancelled it because of their concern about security. And part of the release I saw being circulated, I don't know if this part is true, but the release also suggested, and I have no information that's true, that Digicel was supposed to have a Carnival launch on Friday coming, and that may also have been affected. And I don't know that is true, but let's see.
Yeah, that's what it said, that Digicel pulled too.
Yeah, that was the other sponsor I was talking
about. Well, that's two big sponsors.
Because of the crime situation in Port of Spain.
So, I mean,
but Pan generally doesn't have an issue. So why would they pull out from a Pan concert?
It is not a Pan concert. It's a continuous space.
All right. I don't know the story. So I'll wait
to do research.
They were collaborating with NCC to provide a space to have different Pan performances.
Right.
In the lead up to Carnival.
Right.
It was a proposal that BPTT apparently was working on with NCC. And they were going to do that in the Queen's Park Savannah, opposite where their main office is.
Yeah,
and because somebody was killed, there were several killings around by the Savannah there.
Well, there was one. Our guy was working on the boots.
Right. So the BPTT just said they.
Well, I think that in the context of the general concern about crime, you know.
And the murders on Arpita Avenue.
And the general issues with crime and the continuous
contributing to the mindset that Port of Spain is unsafe.
I saw something in the Canadian Embassy website also recently.
Yeah, the Canadian Embassy sent out. I said it to you guys.
So there's a concern about crime.
Yeah, and justifiably so. But Pan, anything to do with Pan, in my humble opinion, and I mean, we have had bad incidents during Pan, but generally we've had all Pan concerts.
But it's not about Pan, Wendell. It's about the general environment.
No, I am not disputing that. I am saying if it had anything to do with Pan, because that's what I gathered first, what you all said, that it was about a space to use for Pan. Okay?
Yeah, but I think the release was not necessarily about the Pan.
It was about
the general sense of insecurity. That's what the release said. You probably need to read the release. It wasn't about Pan is going to cause somebody to come and do something. It was generally because of that incident that happened around the savannah and the context about people feeling unsafe that they didn't think they wanted to go ahead with it.
Yeah.
You don't fall.
I mean, I'm not because of my service in the corporation and as chairman of Carnival, which is what had me around Carnival. Generally, I'm not around Carnival, and I don't expect to be this year. Once I'm not obligated to be around it, I generally am not around Carnival.
Good morning,
Have to be
caller.
there. Rumbucks have to be there.
Well, Rumbucks will be there.
When the Steve Karen volunteers and the check was morning. If I was Karen to say I do the same thing, you know.
I might not surprised.
You see,
you sure you can make it over there, friends?
Desperate people do desperate things. You have to wear jacket and tie and suit and look up to everybody and things. But human beings is human beings. You understand? If the woman and the man had that close relationship and all of that, the close relationship, the woman feels she was under obligation to be there and by any means necessary. So that's not a big issue for me now, right? Because if it was a little man jumping a wall, police lock you up. You understand? Sense, police lock you up. So she had the police assist in that too. Nice? If
you saying that with conviction? Like you were there?
If I went there, them guys are 50 million and all kind of $100 million police touching them. So I do business for them, boy. They have business with. Pulling out everything in tongue. The news say because of the shooting in the savannah where they killed the man who built the thing there, the people decided to pull out. You remember that?
Yeah, I hear you.
They said the same space where the man gets shoot. Is there was looking up to deal with the business there. And they say because of that kind of safety, they pulling out. And that's the bigger picture, not Karen Nunez teacher and them. The bigger picture, crime affecting the way things have been in Trinidad and Tobago, and we need to deal with it.
Yes, that's true.
Because all of the avenue, I have friends who come from New York to go to the avenue, and they say they're not going there. They're shooting people there too.
Yeah. Our Peter Avenue is becoming a hotspot.
Not becoming, it has become.
And you know, we used to say that when you have an all-inclusive set, it's only good people going there. It meant questionable money going there too.
Yes, that's true.
So the crime situation creating a lot of havoc and mayhem, and people losing financial support from big companies because of crime. So how we dealing with that? That is the discussion we have. All right, I go.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick. Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick. Good morning, caller. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Steve Khan, before you leave studio this morning, I'm making a request. Could you put your hands on David Rudder's tune? This is not a fetting here, this is madness.
I'm going to play that after 8 o'clock.
Oh, God, Steve Khan, what the hell? I couldn't believe. I heard what Karen Nunez was trying to justify. You serious? She wanted to blame Dr. Amory Brown and the police. And then this woman had the nerve gone on TV6 when Marlon ripped it apart. I mean, listen, she behaving just like Gary Griffith. She go be on every TV and radio station this
Lord,
morning.
look where you going.
You're
going to start a whole new set of...
No, Gary was already on TV for the morning.
Yes, he discredits she as I hear what he say, oh God, what is she trying to say? She like a soca artist this morning. Oh my God, Mr. Shera.
Yeah, but you don't push yourself onto media houses. Media houses invite you on.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you have to go. That is why I use the word soca artist, because the soca artists get calls, some of them, to promote their record. But what must she... look, if I was her turn, I'd say, Mommy, please, just let rest now. I could imagine how they feel. You know, she carried me back to the all you remember when James Brown came to Trinidad and they had his show in King George V Park? People stopped. Yeah, and I went because I never forget that show was $5, and it's only because they bring tickets in my school. My father let us go, and people storm. I remember a whole branch come down with some fellas up in a tree, storm that James Brown concert. Mr. Shearer, you make history. Oh my God! Look, Mr. Shearer, please give me a break this morning with your nonsense, right? You do your rubbish and you're trying to blame. You come like them people. As the government, you make it, children, but blaming the government because you can't send them to school as you make it. Look, all you arrest me with this nonsense with Karen Nunez, Shearer. You hear? Have a good day. Bye.
Well, she has gotten
Lots
her
of calls
moment
coming
in
through. Good
her
morning.
moment in the public eye again.
Good morning.
I know she's going and take umbrage. She and her fans going and take umbrage of how I dealt with her this morning again. She gonna tote
Good
out
morning, Steve.
Morning.
Good morning, Dr. Paul, Wendell, and
Good morning.
Richard.
Good
You all
morning.
look very handsome this morning, fresh and looking good. I'm watching you all.
Ah, boy. Who's the best looking guy here?
I got a big to get in the middle.
Where am I? Where am I?
Oh my goodness.
I keep talking
Yes. You get a doubles for that. Go ahead.
I don't know why every time something seems to be wrong, it has to have a justification. If it's wrong, it's wrong. She can't justify her not being invited or whatever else to do these kinds of things because, you know something, it was her fence, her pants and her crotch rip up because the other she was sitting on that. It was really funny. It was really hilarious. But, the worst part for me is like Adam and Eve with Mr. Hammersmith following Eve. Adam following Eve to eat the apple. He looked like he ain't lost. He ain't know what is he doing.
You sure you want to go there? You admitted on national radio this morning that Eve encouraged Adam?
Yes, Eve encouraged Adam. She encouraged him. He didn't have a clue as to what to do. She showed him how to jump on.
Adam didn't have free will at all?
He just followed it because he's stupid. So, anyway.
You said Adam was stupid?
Yeah. Why? He followed. He's going to behave. He had done the right thing. But, I was wondering, who is really the leader? Because he's a follower. He's supposed to be the leader of a party, but like he was a follower yesterday. So tell me, what kind of man is this following Karen Nunez in the sheriff with her nonsense, jumping her fence and her big purse? Tell me about it. Miss Karen Sheriff, you want too much attention. You have too much money to be doing stupidness.
Too much money and too much time.
And too much time. Go and get a husband or something.
Oh gosh, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do
That's
that.
unnecessary.
Thank you.
Don't do that.
That is unnecessary.
All right. Oh, boy. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to all you good gentlemen.
Hey, Ellie, what's happening? You back in LA?
Hello, boy. Happy New Year, man.
Yeah. Happy New Year to all you good gentlemen there.
You know, LA has been in Trinidad like 10 times. And he had come once to take a look at it.
But hey, Wendell, let me ask you a question. I was in Shagaramas, right? And I come back going back home now. And I put a punching rum box in the Waze GPS system now. And is rum box in Arima or in St. James?
There is a rum box with RHUM in Arima, but rum box RUM is in St. James on Western Main Road. Easy to find. Between Euphies and...
Ellie, let me tell you when it is. When you're coming from Shagaramas, you pass the Cokereed Hospital, don't stay left. Go straight over the flyover. You'll come to a traffic light. As you see the traffic light, it's like you'll see a Chinese restaurant on the right-hand side. It's right next door.
I say I would have stopped there and check my boy whether and patronize this place. I mean, I don't drink alcohol. I might buy a water or something because I don't drink alcohol. Anyway, guys.
You and Richard Carline.
Morning, Miss Dr. Paul, Richard. Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all you good gentlemen. Hey, I want to say condolences to the Panday family, and you lose a good. Regardless of what, we lose a good man. Anyway, I want to agree with Mr. Patrick this morning and the contribution. I mean, Karen Nunez to share wherever that that situation, the shooting and the things just get out of hand more and more and more. When I don't know what we could do or what the powers could do to put that stuff in this situation, but people got to try to change the mindset about things because it's really anytime you go anywhere in Trinidad, yeah, people say, hey, be careful where you're going. Watch your back. It doesn't matter where you're going, the grocery store, you're going anywhere, things like that. I don't understand. But nevertheless, whenever I call myself a good time, locked on and listen to you guys as well. You guys wake up 2 o'clock in the morning to listen to you guys.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Because
The time we're friends.
It's still real, but I never see a little cold, but it's real cool here right now.
Yeah. Why is that this morning?
Boy, I don't know because I now come back from Trinidad, but the place I've been in LA here since 2007. I never see a little cold, boy.
Yeah, it's cold. Los Angeles is 7 degrees. Las Vegas is -1. -2, sorry.
Hey, Mr. Richard, you have any new play in the works, man?
And you what?
We don't start until after Carnival.
Okay, Mr. Richard. Good. Yeah, and all the best of luck for the theater season this coming up this year. All right, guys. Happy New Year.
All right, take care.
All right, all best.
Richard, have you all ever seen? Have you, Paul, Steve, ever seen the production of the Nutcracker?
No.
I've seen it on television.
I went to see that in the Atlanta Ballet, the Cobb's Energy Center the other day in Atlanta. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a ballet presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think I would, but I did. Thoroughly enjoyed. And my son did too. You know, as I say, we've gone to theater to see Nikki Crosby play. We have gone to the Marionettes Chorale, and now we've gone to the Atlanta Ballet, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. I've never seen a young man with less emotion than him, but you know he's been enjoying it.
That's a teenager thing.
Yeah, it is.
They don't show emotion.
It's an unbothered look.
Nothing excites them. It's like
nothing. You know, I don't know what is going on in their minds. You sit and watch them and say, what are they thinking about?
It will pass. But that whole issue of crime and Arpita Avenue, and I don't know. I mean, I am not a security strategist, but there has to be a way to monitor and ensure the security of the people in an entertainment district that is what, a mile long? Let's say it's a mile. I don't know if it's a mile. Let's say it's a mile long. There has to be a way.
Yeah.
But if it is that you have somebody shot at the traffic light at the corner of Carlos Street at whatever time it was in the evening or afternoon, get shot and get away in an area, because where are you going?
Yes.
Where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
If it is that your security infrastructure responds immediately. Because from the time somebody shot, there is a call coming into 999. Somebody just shot at Carlos Street. Where is that vehicle going?
Yeah.
Are they going on Arapita Avenue? Are they heading to Ryson Road? Or are they in the opposite direction and you're heading up
to
Carlos
Street? To Road.
You're going to take you to Robert Street, which is going to take you to traffic lights. You're going to meet traffic lights in all directions.
Yes.
Correct.
Wherever you're going. So how your response time does not catch that car?
Mm-hmm.
And unless we can answer that, we spinning top in mud.
Yes.
Because the criminals are looking at that. I could go, because their sense of psychological bravado is that I could do whatever I want, wherever I want, and I will get away.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 shootings ago, I said the same thing. Fix these spots that people have lime in. Why isn't there Frankie's on the avenue, Smokey and Bunty, Coco Lounge, all these places that have these large gatherings? My God, park up a police scanner.
Mm-hmm.
After 10 p.m., 11 p.m. in the night, park a police car and have a presence there. How difficult is that?
Difficult.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap it up for this Hump Day Wednesday.
Folks, have
All
a
right, so have
wonderful
a
day.
fantastic
Remember
day,
to
whatever
let go
you
and let
do
go.
on this Wednesday midweek. And of course, no matter what is going on in life, always remember to smile and laugh. It's good for your health. And so Karen and Timothy gave us a little bit of good health yesterday.
All right, folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. And certainly, as Richard always says, smile. I mean, what else you going to do in the midst of this morass? Smile.
Have a great day. Be safe.
All right. Thank you so much. Of course, let's get into our news up.